Hello and welcome to Adelaide Oval, to Willow Talk Extras, wrapping up the second day of the second test. I'm Izzy Westbury, Brad Haddin, Mark Taylor.
Izzy?
Gentlemen, who won the day?
Well, Australia won the day. I thought the bowls were outstanding at the end. Marnus was good at the start of the day. I thought he found his rhythm during this test match. He looked a lot more proactive. He looked like he wanted to score runs rather than survive, but the day was all about Travis Head. It was steered the whole way through. He took the game on. Even when he got out, I've never heard Adelaide crowd roar or boo like that to an opposition, but to me, Australia in a great position, but it was all about Travis Head today.
So a quick summary of the day then. Day 2 was all Australia, as Had said. Travis Head scored his third century on his home soil, a blazing 140, supported by 64 from Marnus Labuschagne, back in nick. Australia posted 337, a lead of 157. Then the Aussie quicks, they ripped in, leaving India in all sorts. 5 for 128 at the close of play, still trailing by 29 runs, but Tubbs, maybe a bit of a rearguard action there from Pant and Reddy.
Yeah, it was a terrific day of Test cricket, as Brad said. I think something like best part of 360 runs, got 14 wickets. Travis Head, the local boy, gets 100. Cummins was really good today with the ball. Scotty bowled on a couple of late wickets. So yes, India in all sorts of trouble, but not dead and buried just yet, in my opinion. These two at the crease, they're going to have to create something unbelievable tomorrow. They'll have to put together another 100 between them, maybe 150, and give their bowlers something to bowl. And what we've seen in this test match so far, that new ball, particularly under lights, does a bit. And if batsmen start nicking them, you're a chance. But they need to score at least another 150 plus tomorrow, and it's got to come from Reddy, who's at the crease now, and obviously Rashid Khan.
Well, the topsy-turvy nature of this test series so far, it's racing on at 100 miles an hour. I wouldn't put it past them for something extraordinary to happen. One man I guess we do have to talk about, Steve Smith, strangled, bad luck, or is there something technical, something deeper going on there?
It was interesting to look at Steve Smith bat today because he had changed his technique. He lost his trigger movement where he went back and across the crease, and he just had a forward press today. I think the one down leg side was unlucky. I watched him in the nets. He looked like everything was moving right. He's hitting the middle of the bat, and it's just one of those things when things aren't quite going your way, happens.
Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Steve Smith, all falling pretty cheaply. Are we at the end of an era, perhaps, Tubbs?
Well, I think all those three players you talked about aren't the players they were 5 years ago, but that's not surprising.
Yeah.
They're getting older. Also, as we've talked about quite a bit in the commentary so far, the pitches are doing a bit more. This ball now has got a more prominent seam. There's more coats of lacquer on it. So batting is harder these days. So when they were all averaging, those sort of three guys averaging 50s and 60 runs per innings, those days, well, they're not gone, but they're not as prevalent as they once were, and those guys are now getting older, so they're nicking them now. They're finding ways of getting out. Steve Smith's getting caught down the leg side. It's what happens when you tend to get a bit older. I don't think they're done and dusted yet, but runs are certainly getting harder to come by for them.
Well, one man that has started to answer his critics, Marnus Labuschagne, he looked good out there, got his 50. What did he do right?
Well, I think the one thing he did really well, he thought about runs. I think what we've seen over a long period of time now, he's been looking to survive. And we've seen little bits of it in the second innings in Perth where he came out, he showed more intent to put some pressure back on the bowling. And that's the one thing he did. He got through that hard period on night one, which would have made a big difference to his confidence. And the first ball today was at middle and leg, and he just worked it through mid-wicket. All of a sudden, he started to play like he believes in his technique again. And that came back down to not technique, not doing anything else, but being more proactive and looking to put pressure back on the bowler.
Now, Tubbs, one thing that we discussed on air today was what's going on with Snicko? Mitch Marsh walking off, he didn't nick it, did he?
No, I don't think he did. He obviously hit himself on the leg and convinced himself he nicked it, because he actually took a step towards the change rooms, which I think then invited the umpire to say, oh, well, you must have nicked it. I'll put my finger up, because I wasn't sure the umpire was going to do that. And then Mitch Marsh said, well, I think I probably have nicked that. Had a word to Travis Head, who then says to him, well, I think you nicked it as well. And off he goes. And yet all the replays suggest he missed it by a centimetre or so. So at the end of the day, Mitch Marsh thought he was out. off he goes, and all the technology and all the visions we've seen says he wasn't out.
Well, it's interesting because that's actually not the first time that's happened this series. Remember Cahill Rahul in the first innings in Perth? He thought he missed the ball by a long way. He hit his pad first. Yeah. That one looked a bit close to the edge. But Mitch Marsh today, you're right, Tubby, he walked.
Yeah.
And yes, it looked bad. But if you know when you nick it, you know if you get that fine one, especially to a spinner. Rishabh Pant didn't appeal much, but as a batter, you know if you touched it.
Now, we've talked a lot about a number of different players, batting well, not batting well, but the hometown hero, Head, talk me through his 140.
Well, it was against the norm in the game. The way he went out and counter-attacked today, the thing about Travis Head, he'd be a nightmare to bat behind. Because no matter what the surface is, he finds a way to hit the middle of the bat. And that's what he did today. He came out, he took the game on, he put the pressure back on India, and straight away, as soon as he did that, the field started to change. Deep square went out, deep point came out. Bumrah changed his angles. He started to bowl different lengths and allowed Travis Head to score, but he's one of those players, when you get him a roll like that and the ball starts to come, it's hard to stop. And that's exactly what happened today. They lost their plans today. They didn't know what to do. Not at one stage, I thought they might have went really wide to Travis Head. Wide, put a couple out in the boundary, catches us behind point, and because he's not a player that's going to lead the ball. But it was today what he did was special in front of his home crowd. He's turned the game in Australia's way, but it was good to watch.
And that's a point I find really interesting. We know that he's from South Australia. He's Adelaide's own. Does that do something when you walk out in your hometown? He seems to score some hundreds here for fun.
Yeah, it's his third one here, I think, in 9 innings here at the Adelaide Oval. So he's very comfortable playing here. He loves the short square boundaries and he utilises them very well. But as has said, I think because he feels comfortable and he's comfortable with his own technique, which is his own technique.
It is.
I don't reckon many kids could bat like Travis Head. He hits good balls before and sometimes make bad balls look really good. He's that sort of player, but he's comfortable looking like that. So he plays his way. He is hard to bowl to because you think you're going to get him out every ball for the first 20, but then he starts hitting boundaries. And when he does, as Has just said then, he's very hard to stop.
Well, what I found interesting, because he scores so fast and the game happens in front of you, and next thing you know he's on 20, next thing you know he's on 60, I think sometimes captains need to take 2 steps back. And Travis Head's been out a couple of times just under his hip, down leg side, but not at any stage do they say, you know what, he's going to go after every ball. I'm going to bowl 4 overs of bounces. He's going to play them. Yes, you got a short side here, and they didn't change anything. And that's what happens when someone like Head plays. Captains panic, the fielding team panics, the bowlers pressure on them, and you forget to take 2 steps back and just get the game back into your percentage.
We've got Head scoring some extraordinary shots. We've got Pant as well. Some of the strokes that he played, I really do. I don't envy anybody trying to bring up young boys and girls and trying to teach them how to play conventional cricket, because there's no such thing, it seems, anymore. Now, I'm a subscriber to funny cricket trumps good cricket. And when he had Siraj giving Head a send-off after he just battered 140, I mean, what was going on there, Tubbs?
Yeah, look, Mohammed Siraj, and I don't know exactly what happened between himself and Travis Head in his dismissal, but that's not a good look. No. I don't know who instigated it, but it's not a good look, particularly when a guy makes 140. I'd like to see someone have a little word to Mohammed Siraj, though. I like his competitive nature. He's a fine bowler. But I'd like to have someone to have a word to him, because I don't like the fact that when he hits a guy on the pads and thinks he's got him at LBW, he continues to run down the pitch, past the batsman, almost gets to the keeper, and then looks around to the umpire to see if he's going to give it out. That's got to stop. And if it doesn't stop shortly, it'll be the umpires or the match referee who might stop it for him and give him a game off, and we don't want that. Someone like a Rohit Sharma or a Virat Kohli needs to go up to him and say, mate, be excited, be aggressive, get in batsman's face, love all that, but that is disrespecting the game and the umpire, so get that right.
What he didn't do today, okay, it was a really bad look what he did to Travis Head, and it shouldn't happen to send-off, but all of a sudden emotion became involved in the game. Stark and Cummo came out to bat. I thought, okay, it's game on here. They're a bit fired up. Not once did he go after him with the bouncer. He just put everything up. I think he was shocked with the reaction in the crowd, but I think what we're going to see when he comes out to bat These Australian quicks have got a long memory. It's a long series. I think they're going to go after him and remind him about what happened.
Well, the crowd enjoys a pantomime villain, and I think he delivered that today. Talking about the quicks, Scotty Boland, his first spell getting, was it Coley and Jaswell? Yeah, you don't get much better than that here.
Terrific, that. And I thought Pat Cummins led the way, firstly with the ball, but also his captaincy. That was really good tonight. In those last couple of hours, he got Boland on at the right time when the ball was just nipping around a bit, and he got those 2 big wickets you talked about. But then he took him off when he had a chance to get to Rohit Sharma. Pat Cummins gave Pant a single, got Rohit Sharma on strike, and then knocked him over with a beauty. So I thought Pat Cummins led the way today, firstly, as I said, with the ball, but also the captaincy. But Boland, on that sort of pitch under lights, would be an absolute nightmare when you first go in.
Hats their 5 down, still trailing by 29, but with Reddy there as well as Pant, what can we expect from tomorrow?
What we expect is the game's going to move forward either way.
Yeah.
If Australia get a wicket early, I can't see this Indian tailor standing in front of the Australians tomorrow. After what happened with Siraj, I think they're going to get fired up and they're really going to go at the Indian tail and really make a statement. But on the other hand, if Reddy and Pant can bat for a period of time, they have one of the days out where they can bat 3 hours and get 200 in front, get 150 in front. They're actually bowling a good time then. But I don't see it happening tomorrow. I think Australia are going to get through this real early tomorrow and make a real statement.
Tubby, are we setting up a sweepstake for what times of finish tomorrow?
I think we will. I think probably around about lunchtime, but that will all depend on these two at the crease. If one of these two go in the first half hour or so, I think we're done and dusted by the first break. As you said a moment ago, the only chance India has if these two almost bat to lunch. If they can do that, and all of a sudden they've got a lead of around about 100, then we might just have a very tricky run chase late tomorrow night.
Well, you heard it here first. This game is cantering along, as is this podcast. We've arrived at the secret Cricket Club questions, and Mitch asks, I like this one, should the hill at Adelaide Oval be named after Travis Head?
Yes.
Yeah, we're in.
100%.
It's like Wimbledon, Murray Mount, Henman Hill, Hill.
And I think every person who walks in should get a pair of the sunglasses he wore at the World Cup from the 7-Eleven up the road. Travis Hill.
The Head Hill.
Head Hill,
the Head Hill. Doesn't sound very good, does it?
That could be quite dangerous there, Tubby, but anyway, let's move on. Sam asks, should all the Aussies this is quite the question, should all the Aussies just bat like Travis Head?
No, because then he wouldn't be unique. I love the way Travis Head bats, and as we've spoken about, he moves the game on quickly and he would be tough to bowl to. But no, I think every batsman just have got to bat the way they would normally bat. It seems to me, though, that people like the Travis Head, the Rishabh Pant, the Harry Brooks in England are setting a new way of batting. When the ball's doing a bit, and it seems to be doing a bit around the world at the moment, this new ball and these pitches which have got a bit more grass on, everyone's just going hard, be aggressive. So everyone's going to try and bat like Travis Head and Harry Brooks, but there's a fair bit of skill in it as well.
This is an interesting question because Mitch Starc, he struggled a bit in his first spell, but then he came back and got Shubman Gill, who's had the wood over him for a little while, got him bowled, I think middle stump, was it flying out of the ground, something like that. Is Mitch Starc the greatest left-arm bowler of all time? And that's from Mick.
Oof. Mick, I tell you what he is the greatest pink ball bowler of all time.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen that in this test match. What he does with the pink ball is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Tubby Keith asks, what makes Scotty Boland's first over so special?
Well, I think what makes it so special, and he's making a habit of it, he gets the first few balls in the right spot more often than most. Often you see bowlers, the first couple a little bit wide and they move their lines in. Scotty Boland quite often is hitting the top of off stump with his very first ball. So he's asking you questions and he just does enough to find an edge or to hit the top of off stump. So he asks you questions from that very first ball.
The other way you could just charge his first ball like Rishabh Pant.
That's right. Yeah, knock him off his length.
Well, there you go. I mean, it's an easy game when you do that, right? Really good question to wrap things up with. George asks, can the Aussies go on to win this series 3-1 after that old flogging in Perth and allowing for rain in Sydney?
Hey, boo.
Well, there'll be no rain in Sydney.
No.
That'll be a beautiful test match. Everyone will come out at the time of their life. Well, if they win here, it depends how many scars they're left. They go to Brisbane, we've got a great record up there. Yeah, there's no reason why we can't.
W Series result?
Well, I think it's still right on. Australia should win here,
Yeah.
and I say should. They haven't won just yet, but they should win here. I think we're in for a cracking series because I don't think there'll be scars from either side. I think both sides will go, righto, start again in Brisbane. Let's go again.
And not many more days until we do get to Brisbane. So that's the end of day 2 at the Adelaide Oval. I'm Izzy Westbury, Brad Haddin, Mark Taylor. Good night and see you again tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks for watching the Willow Talk podcast on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't have to miss an episode wherever you are. And while you're at it, check out these videos up here. They're mostly good.